Careful what you say or you'll get better.
What's up, everybody? Three souls are in the house. How you guys been?
Good.
Good. Awesome. We got Bob and John in the house already. That's good.
Cool.
Hopefully it'll keep picking up. Hey, Tiffany's here too. What's up? All right, so tonight we are going to talk about famous ghost photos. I am in charge. That's right. I have the ring. So you're all in trouble now. So we're going to talk about some famous ghost photos. I thought it'd be a little easier. I've been in training down in North Carolina for the last week, and between that and doing other projects, I figured I'd pick an easy kind of topic, at least for me.
Like, I was going to say easy for you, yeah.
What can I
easy
do
for you?
studying?
That's what I like. Holy crap! When
Damn
I saw
right.
it roll across, I was like, yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Well, it will be for us because we'll probably just put him up and he'll just go to town, so it'll be all right.
That's what I'm counting on. I thought I picked some that I was hoping that he would like, and I would go, I'm not really sure. He would go, I got this.
Don't worry. I got your back, Jack. So ghost photos, famous ghost photos. There's a ton of them out there. Just jumping into some opening statements. I mean, yeah, there's a lot out there, and I mean, we've seen. I'm sure everyone has seen the popular ones, and we're going to pick on a few of them tonight. Mm-hmm. But they're repeated in these ghost books, and you see them in specials and stuff. And you know, they always have that stigma of unexplained, even though many of them are. They've been explained for several years, but the media just loves to regurgitate them and put them back out there. So I figured, yes, this would be like an easy kind of thing where we could just dive into some of the more famous ones, our favorite ones, and kind of pick them apart and see if what we see in these photos and discuss what possible causes could have made these photos. So I'll for opening statements, I'll jump over to Dave.
All right. So mine, I picked one that's close to me. Do we have an echo? I hear an echo, maybe not.
I don't hear an echo yet.
Okay. So one from Bachelor's Grove that's very famous. I think most people that know anything about Bachelor's Grove have probably seen it. The Madonna of Bachelor's Grove. The other one is based on the famous Entity case. Actually, I have two photos from there, and I happened to pick that one, and I guess Kenny's eventually going to do an analysis of that for another publication, shall we say. So that'll be interesting to get his thoughts on that one. And then I picked one out in California that our favorite Sylvia Brown was involved in. So that raised red flags right away. And so we'll kind of see what we think of those. There are three photos I find interesting. I think there's a lot of potential natural explanations. There's some accusations of maybe some fraud on at least two of them. So we'll talk through that and see what we think. So yeah, Kenny said it was going to be an easy topic. I thought, well, the easy part is finding the photos and explaining where they came from in the history. As far as analysis, that's why I send questions on photos and video to Kenny. Don't count on a lot of in-depth analysis here, buddy. So I look forward to your guys' thoughts, and we'll see what we come up with.
Cool. Tim.
Yeah, same. I kind of mentioned it when we first came in. This isn't my forte. I like to learn about it, so I'm kind of looking forward to the show. But certainly isn't my wheelhouse, as we say.
Right.
So I did. I thought, well, what are some good photos I think Kenny would love to take over? And I'd be like, that last one you saw, I was like, that's a bait one right there. That one's just going to change the whole topic. So I don't even have to worry about it. So,
oh my goodness.
so I'm looking forward to it. Like, I like stuff like this that I don't know what I'm doing, so I can try to learn.
Yeah, I got inspiration for this because I was working on another project that I'm doing, and I needed some specific photos, specific in a specific place. Not necessarily specific photos, although I did have a list, but they had to be in a certain place to give a certain context, and that's all I can give away right now. But I found a facility, a friend of mine that I used to train with, offered it up to me, and we got to talking. And once I started experimenting, like getting the photos that I needed, he was fascinated. He was having a great time. He was like, holy shit, I'm learning so much about this. And I was like, this might be a good topic to get into, just because if we're investigating paranormal claims, pictures are part of it. It's a big part of it. People are always taking pictures, and I think it's a good exercise to get into this kind of thing and just dive into it and see what kind of details we can uncover and little nuances that we can pick out and say, oh, you know what, that looks kind of weird. We should look into that more. So I have a couple of pictures here. I have 3. That was the thing. Everybody picked 3 of their favorite. My 3 are real quick. I got the Brown Lady of Raymond Hall, which I love. That's probably the most famous ghost photo ever. And I just love, I have a whole thing that like an article that I got to write or finish, but I want to get into that. I'm going to tackle the Amityville little boy in the Amityville house.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that one myself.
That one is good. It's creepy enough looking, but it's fun to talk about. Yeah.
And then what's called the Wem ghost, which is like, this was a town hall that had burnt down to the ground, and someone took a picture, and there's an image of a woman or a girl in it. And I've seen it so many places, like unexplained, and it has a great explanation for it, and we'll get into that. So I'll jump in first. I'll pop mine up. So let me see. I have let me share my screen, because I do have all the pictures. Actually, I did have all the pictures. Now I got to find them because I had them. Hold on a second.
So I'll go ahead and make like a little confession while he's looking for it. So in case I flip out in my chair, the seasons are getting cooler. I don't know if it's like this across the country, but we've had a few stink bugs that have decided to invade my place. And so if you see me absolutely get up and run and start stomping stuff, that's just me. I'm not possessed.
It's a demon stink bug.
There we go.
Just get a night vision camera, and we can watch them fly around and think your house is haunted.
Oh, that'd be great. So this is my first
look like
one.
Apache helicopters.
This is the Brown Lady of Raymond Hall, taken in 1936. A little bit of background on this. It is from a famous haunting in Norfolk. And according to the legend, the Brown Lady of Raymond Hall is the ghost of Lady Dorothy Walpole, who lived from 1686 to 1726. And she was the sister of Robert Walpole, who was the first prime minister in Norfolk. Interesting. She was the second wife of Charles Townshend, a man notorious for his violent temper, apparently. And there's a legend that, let me see if I had a bunch of stuff, but pretty much the legend is that he caught her allegedly having an affair with somebody and decided to lock her in her bedrooms, which the stories always say bedrooms, plural, which makes me think, like, how many rooms did she have? Like, was this really a prison? I'm sure it was, but apparently she was locked in there until her death in 1726, when she contracted smallpox and died from that. Okay. So let's see. On September 19th, 1936, 2 photographers, Captain Hubert Provan and his assistant Indre Shira, visited the hall. They had contacted the person owning the hall prior because they had heard ghost stories. Apparently, the lady, which I'm going to refer to her as Lady Townsend, who owned the hall, she had recently contributed ghost stories to a book that had just been published, I think, the year before. So as soon as this came out, these two photographers, particularly Indra Shira, was really interested in coming out and taking pictures of the ghost. At first, Lady Townsend refused. She didn't want that kind of, I guess, notoriety or reputation. But it was a little bit later that the two photographers came up and said that they were working for a magazine called Country Life, and they wanted to take pictures of the hall, like everywhere. So with that, Lady Townsend let them in, said, "Come on in, you can take pictures." And they're going about their Photoshop thing, photo shoot. And according to the
subliminal slip,
there you go,
Photoshop.
Foreshadowing. Let's see. Captain Provan took one photograph while I flashed the light. He was focusing for another exposure. I was standing by his side, just behind the camera, with the flashlight pistol in my hand, looking directly up the staircase. All at once, I detected an ethereal, veiled form coming slowly down the stairs. Rather excitedly, I called out sharply, "Quick, quick, there's something." I pressed the trigger of the flashlight pistol. After the flash and on closing the shutter, Captain Provan removed the focusing cloth from his head and turned to me and said, "What's all the excitement about?" So apparently they had like a discussion or argument on the way home because...
so the one guy didn't see it.
The one guy did not see it. Yes. According to the story, all the versions of the story, Captain Provan, who was not actually a captain, both of these names I found out were pseudonyms. They're not their real names. They were using them as professional kind of stage names. And a little bit more about that later. But the Provan, who was focusing for another shot, did not see anything. So it was the other guy, Indra, where's his name? Indra Shira. He's the one that said he saw something and immediately flashed the flash pistol and shot the picture. So they got back to their studio, they developed it, and they find this picture. And they're all excited about it. It makes the magazine. They sell prints of it outside their little shop. But when you start digging into it, especially when you look at this photo here, let me get into it a little bit more. One of the biggest things that I noticed with this photo, and this is the best I could get, because I know I have a better one, an original one that has like actually a blue tint to it, which is the original image before they took the color out. But one of the things I noticed is that they said that they flashed the pistol, that they had a flash pistol with this. But I actually don't see any reflections from the flash in here. So I should be able to see all of this is high gloss wood. And when you see more modern pictures of the staircase, you see it's very shiny. All the light that's coming off of here up the top is coming from the skylight up top.
Oh.
This back here, this is actually a window. Lady Townsend, who owned the hall, behind the staircase, there is a shrine to the Virgin Mary. So it's a huge shrine. She was a huge fan, very devout. And the two photographers actually knew about this.
So was it daytime when they took this then? If there's
it
light
is daytime. Yes.
Okay.
It's about 4:00 in the afternoon when they took this photo.
Okay.
One of the other details that I point out with this, and I've pointed this out on a lot of my lectures, is that they were using, they were exposing for between 6 and 8 seconds.
Ooh, yeah.
So you're taking the cap off the camera, and this is 1936. So they're taking the cap off the camera. They're counting. There's no timer. They're counting between 6 and 8 seconds. And the only witness to this ghost coming down the stairs said that it was coming down the stairs. It was slowly coming down the stairs. So my biggest issue. Go ahead. What?
Wouldn't you have a light streak then if it's open that long and it's moving?
Exactly. That's my biggest concern with this. This image, you can actually see details. You can see folds of the robes. You can see where it's a different robe, or I guess a robe over top of a dress. And
so what's the dark shadow to the left if you're looking at it straight on? Because it looks like it has a similar shape.
Where? Here?
No, left, where the rail is. There.
That.
Like an outline of it almost looks like a similar form.
So that is actually, no, that's part of the stairway.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So that is, let me see if I can get a better, Raymond. Oh, there is a better image of this.
That's okay. I believe you.
Okay.
Curious.
It's really, I mean, the pictures don't do it justice because you see all the black and white all the time, but it's actually like a very light wood, very light colored wood color, very glossy. But the banister comes down here, then this is actually a landing right here.
Oh,
it's a short landing, but you don't see it from the angle. But yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said. If this was coming down the stairs for 6 to 8 seconds, there should be a streak of light, not a fully formed figure standing in the middle. So when I look at this, the first thing I think of is this actually looks like a statue of Mary. And I have several that I don't have them here with me. I have them downstairs, but I've recreated this photo over and over again. Just showing that if you can put a small statue, maybe like a foot or a 2 foot tall statue, and you photograph that with a black background, you can take that negative and put it over top of the developed negative from this picture, reshoot it, and this is what you would get. This is actually exactly what you would get. And the way you
had no problem back then, you think?
It would not be a problem. No, I mean, it would. If you have the negative for this, what you would do is overexpose the picture of the statue. So you would have this statue of Mary, say, like, you take a picture of this doll, which don't ask why I just have a Cabbage Patch doll just randomly on my desk. But if I were to take a picture of this and overexpose it, the colors would be gone.
Yep. Okay.
And you would see a lot of white, and especially if you take it out of focus, which is exactly what I think this is, an out of focus, overexposed picture of a statue of Mary, where you can see down, especially right here, this is where the common fold of the bottom of her robes would be. You have like a blue overcoat kind of thing. I don't know what they would actually call it, but she usually has like a blue overcoat, but then a white undercoat. So that's where I would go with that.
I was going to say that looks like that exactly looks like a statue of Mary.
Yeah, I have pictures. I didn't have them with me, but I have.
I would
pictures
assume the camera was on a tripod when they took this.
Yes. Yeah. They were doing, especially because if you're taking 6 to 8 second exposures, it has to be on a tripod.
Man, this was one of my favorite photos as a kid, as a ghost photo. So thanks a lot for fucking it up for me. It ruined my whole childhood.
And just to answer this question real quick, a flash pistol, it was a flash that was on a handle with a button that was, you could fire yourself. You can pull the trigger.
Did it go? How long did it go off? Did it time with the camera and go off for the 6 seconds?
As I understand, from what I've read, it was timed for a 1/50th exposure, which doesn't make sense.
That would be weird.
Yeah, because you're doing a quick flash, but you're doing a 6 to 8 second exposure. I don't understand. I mean, I get it.
That would lead some really funky effects if people were moving. I mean, you get a partial flash and things moving around. That'd probably make some cool ass photos.
Right. It should be. You should have some kind of reflections. All this area here should be illuminated. much more, especially with the flash. I mean, they had a flash fire, they had a long exposure. This definitely should be more illuminated, but it's not. This is actually all in shadow, which doesn't make sense.
I would say as well, when you get to the top of the steps, it looks like you turn right and then go up more steps. So
Yes.
It looks like that should be illuminated as well if it was a flash. The bottom of those steps.
Well, the closer, I would think the closer would be the bottom of stairs. Yeah, here, this railing here, the underside. Yeah, if that's what you're talking about, the underside.
Yeah,
of the
that
stairs.
right there.
Yeah, that should be more illuminated, brighter. But I think the problem is that they probably took a picture of the stairs without the flash going off, and then when he took his overexposed image of the statue with a black background and put it on top and rephotographed it, that's why you're getting much darker area around it, because the black is fading in and it's darkening the outside of it, while the overexposed section in the middle where the statue is brightens that little area there.
Right.
Plus, when I actually I took the time to measure the steps, I was able to find plans that gave me the measurements of the steps. With the riser was 6 inches, and when I compared that bottom step here, right about here, and then measured how tall this person should be, it would be under 4 feet tall.
People were small back then.
Yeah. That's pretty small.
Good.
That's pretty small.
Oh my God, that was funny.
So there you go. That's my first.
You sure it's not a picture of JD? He's kind of short. Just kidding, JD.
Let's see. Did the photographers know they were doing this? From what I've read, and there was a lot to read, you really have to dig, especially because, I did find earlier when I was researching it, I did find the original article that appeared in Country Life, and it gave you more details. But from what I gather, Indre was very into ghosts, and he was like that. He wanted to get that ghost photo. His wife, because he kind of made it sound like there was nothing, he wasn't interested in the paranormal at all. But his wife was a psychic. She had a book out, and like the name Indre Shira is actually from her. It's her stage name, and she has a book called something about your hands, but it's about psychic impressions and stuff. So she was really into the psychic stuff and the ghosts, and he was trying to make a payday. And that's what it looks like, that he was trying to make money off of this. And they did. They sold prints of this. I forget the conversion, but they did pretty good.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting. Cool.
So I'm going to shoot this over to Dave.
All right. Let me share my screen for the first one here. All right. And boom, there it is. Should be able to bring it on. Got it?
Got it.
All right. So this is in Sunnyvale, California. Let me get my notes up here. It appeared on an episode of That's Incredible in 1981, episode 44. And it isn't a Toys R Us anymore. It's a different business now, but it's located at 130 East El Camino Real in Sunnyvale, California. And one of our all-time favorite psychics was part of this show, Sylvia Brown. And she was there with a photographer, another person, Bill Tidwell. And they claimed they had already caught some paranormal activity at the store. But the Toys R Us, the employees and other people that had been there reported a lot of different activity. Things flying off shelves, things moving, lights going on and off, hearing things. There's a variety of reports of different paranormal activity. So the legend was that the store had been haunted since opening in 1970, and it was supposedly haunted by a farmer, Johnny Johnson, who was said to have died there in the early 1880s. And supposedly his apparition was seen in aisles of the store. However, when a newspaper went and started digging into it to see if that was true, none of it was true. So it was just all urban legend. So basically, it just proved all of that stuff. The story was pretty interesting, though. I mean, according to what they said, is he accidentally stabbed himself with an axe after he was rejected by his love interest. Which, boy, if that isn't a common theme in hauntings. Oh, they don't love me, I'm going to go kill myself. So that none of that was true. So this photo was circulated by Ashley Hall after it was on. I think they put it on the show, and then the website called Paranormal Guide. They shows a seance held at the store, so you can see people sitting around conducting a seance. Okay, it was taken with an infrared sensitive camera, and you see the seated group. Now, what they're claiming is that you see the guy standing in the back, leaning against the wall. They claim that they didn't see that person there at the time. Then, of course, when they went and developed the infrared photo, that person popped up and they saw it and they're like, ooh, it must be the apparition of this Johnny Johnson, which, of course, he didn't die there. So there's strike one against the whole thing. When I'm looking at this would be one of the only really good infrared photos of a ghost, supposedly. One of two that I'm going to show tonight, because the other one I have is an infrared too. The interesting thing is he looks fairly solid to me, which, okay, maybe he is. And I think the only reason you're seeing him so dark there is probably because of the light background. And I couldn't really find a whole lot more information on the exposure, the camera, the speed of the film. All I know is it was, probably a 35 millimeter with infrared film from back in the day. So to me, it's either they didn't see somebody standing there, or it was somebody who was part of the seance and they were leaning up against the wall, or it was somebody came in and came out. I don't know. It had to be pretty dark in there for the most part, except for some of the little bit of light in the background, because the infrared, if there was lights on everywhere, I would assume that would be completely whited out.
Right.
So it had to be fairly dark in there. Now, my biggest problem with this is Sylvia Browne was involved.
Yeah.
And they were filming for That's Incredible. They're trying to come up with something. And I don't know. It looks like some guy just kind of this is probably me just interpreting, but it looks like some guy with his hands in his pocket, kind of leaning there with a jean jacket on, like, okay. So the story doesn't fit. The guy who they claim they were contacting and who was haunting the place, that wasn't true either. Sylvia Browne was involved. And I just can't believe that this is one of two really good infrared photos of a supposed ghost. And the other one I'm going to show is questionable as well. And the fact that, just because they said, well, we didn't notice anybody there at the time, notice this person in the back on the right. And it's a little hard to tell, but doesn't it almost look like they're turning and looking in that direction?
Yeah.
Like
Thanks
there's
a lot,
almost
Dave.
Somebody there.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Looks like she's holding a wine glass.
That's probably
He or she's
Sylvia
holding a
Browne.
little wine glass. It looks like they're looking right at that person.
Yeah, so that's the first one I came up with. I mean, the whole thing reeks of either just not knowing somebody jumped in there, or they didn't remember they had somebody else in their group that stood up when they took that picture, or to me, it was just outright trying to create something fraud. Look who's involved. Look at the story that doesn't pan out. Now, does that mean there's no paranormal activity at the store? I don't know. The employees, when they moved in, and they reported all kinds of things before this happened, and the new business that moved in there, I haven't heard anything that's happened there, but who knows? But this thing it's when it's too good to be true, and the fact that it just looks like somebody standing there to me, and you got somebody looking in that direction. And look at who's involved. So I don't know, Kenny, Tim, what are your thoughts?
Well, it looks like there's shadows. I don't know if that counts as anything, but it looks like there's a shadow on his outlining as he's leaning against the wall. And even in front of his shoe,
Right.
And even, I don't know if it's just my eyes but it even looks like his leg is like coming forward from his shoe towards the viewer. It looks like there's a shadow even casting that way. So I'm not sure, I'm not saying, I certainly don't know if an apparition or a ghost could cause a shadow, but if it's supposed to be transparent, I don't know about that. I'm like you. It looks like, my first thought is, looks like a guy with his hands in his pockets, just kind of watching the crowd, very relaxed, leaning up against the thing, the shadows on his shoulder, against the wall, the shadows even coming from his foot, and it looks like a little trail of a shadow from his leg too.
Yeah. Bob, the photo was taken in 1981 during the filming of That's Incredible.
So I'm looking at this, and I agree with you guys. First thing, yeah, it does look like an infrared image, and I can actually compare it because I know that they took 2 pictures. They had 2 cameras there.
They had a what was it, a high speed camera shooting at the same time, which they claimed didn't show anything. It
doesn't. I have a screenshot of it. It's very dark. It's almost exactly the same as what you see here in this picture, except the woman on the left side, like middle of the left side, you can see she's completely washed out.
Do you want to show? Do you have it there? Do you want to show?
Oh
it?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
show
let me stop.
Okay. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
So this is a screenshot of when they played this, because I don't have the actual image, but this is from the high speed camera, which, according to the interview that I read, the guy said, "Oh, they can pretty much see in the dark." Which it's not.
No,
this is not seeing in the dark. And
but if you lighten that up, do you see anything?
No, because this is a very low quality. Again, it's a screenshot of a photo of a TV. I think they actually took a picture of a TV.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I tried to see it, but like you can see, like this is the woman that was leaning against on the side. This is the woman in the front, but. The guy is supposed to be right here.
I mean, yeah, that doesn't prove shit because it's so dark. You can't see half of the supposed real people either.
Right. Yeah. But with the
supposed real people,
the main picture,
I'm doubting it all, Tim.
The main picture I have problems with, because if they're supposed to be doing a seance, everyone is looking bored. Like I can see their faces. The one woman is literally, she's like this. She's kind of bored. Everyone's looking in different directions. They're not looking at the same person. Yes, that guy, the alleged ghost, is not transparent. I actually think that I don't think he has his hands in his pockets. I think he has something, like almost. Again, I'm going to use it. I think he's holding something like this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I could go with that too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that lighter part there just looks like there's like a bag or maybe a jacket or extra jacket or something that he's holding.
Yeah.
But you're right, Tim. The shadow to his side, that's from him. He's blocking the light. And he also has the reflection in the floor because they have the glossy floors. So you're seeing his reflection in the floor.
Yeah.
And the main thing I want to point out with this one is that he's in the frame. He's not cut off. Perfectly. And when you see there's a little bit wider image that I've seen, but he's in frame perfectly. Like he was meant to be in the picture. So whoever took this picture knew what they were looking at and got him in frame because they knew he was standing there. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I think this is just a real person.
Okay. All right.
Tim.
Okay.
Hope you guys are enjoying this.
Just have mine next to me. So this is from a crash that the driver had survived. It's the Pauling Fire Department. The photo was taken in 1988.
Oh, they survived.
Yeah, that's a survivor.
Fake. Let's move on.
There were plenty of pictures taken. I didn't run through all the pictures of them. but the firefighter who was taking the photos is Sharon Boo, according to the report I read. She apparently wasn't the one that leaked this. Whoever did their, I don't know, I don't want to say evidence processing, but whoever did their data processing, you know, I'm sure you need to take lots of photos of an accident, apparently had leaked it as according to that. But what it is the allegations are that this is an angel, and that is how come she didn't die, that the angel was there to protect her.
Okay.
Her recount of the accident, Rose, oh man, I'm going to be like Kenny, Benvenuto.
That's right. Fuck it up, Kim.
I'm almost there. I'm getting there. She swerved to miss a dog, and this is the accident that happened. So this made its rounds for a long time. Yep. I don't buy it. I'm just making sure I had all the details there. I certainly don't. I'm not into. I don't think that it was staged or faked at the scene, but there's a lot about it I don't like. I certainly, according to what I read, I should have, in hindsight now, I should have gotten the negative. They had a picture of the negative alongside this, and the image is on the negative allegedly. So I would defer to Kenny immediately because I don't know what that means. You know, my first thought was either it looks like something's on the lens, but I don't know if because it's on the lens, it would pick up on the negative. Or if there was some type of gas or steam or any type of heat that was coming from around this, or being a firefighter. There you go. If she would have some equipment that would be safety equipment that might have swung in front of the camera when she took the picture. But my gut shot just looking at it would be that would probably be an artifact that jumped in front of the camera while she took the camera, or while she took the photo. A glove, part of her glove, part of her finger, part of something that got in front of the lens would be my guess.
I can add some of this, but Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with. I mean, that sounds reasonable what Tim said, but I really don't know. I think, if I recall, this is one where people outside of the actual who took it and who who was involved with this, people outside of that who saw it said it's a ghost or an angel photo. I don't think anybody there claimed it was, right, Tim?
Right. According to the firefighter there, she just turned it into the processing to have the images done, and then it was going to go, I guess, inside of the file or the folder that keeps it with this for
something got in front of it, or
is there criminal or insurance investigation.
Is there steam coming off the engine?
The story is whoever did that had leaked it and came up with the story.
I mean, look at the car's busted up. It's an overexposure. Something could have got in front of it. Could there be liquid or steam or something coming off the engine? I really don't know. But I don't think it's a ghost. Let's I think the kid in the back of the class there has something to say.
All right. Okay.
See, this is why we go to Kenny with these.
So
this is right.
I had spent some time looking into this, and you're right, Tim. There's the negative. There's a picture of the negative, so you can see this is the shot that's on it. And this is actually pretty good because we can see that the before shot over here is somebody that's in the fire truck, or that's what it is. If you turn your head to the side, you can see this is it looks like a friend of hers that was in a truck. But then the second picture here after it is more from the scene, and that actually, let's see, there's more pictures to this.
Oh, wow.
So the next picture is actually that one. This is the next one. But when you read the story, you find out that this woman, she took pictures of accidents. So that's part of her job. Like when there was an accident, they would call her out and she would come out and take pictures to document everything that happened. So when she pulls up, she's taking this first photo while they pull up to the scene. So what I'm looking at this, and the more I looked at it, the more I realized that she's still in her car. She's in the passenger seat taking this. And when you look at this, I'm going to do a demonstration here. Look at this, right about here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Her nose.
she is pressed up against the window, and this is the reflection of her nose.
Well, no bears in the cave. That's good.
Here's the nostril. One nostril.
Holy crap.
The other nostril, there's the bridge of the nose going up, and that would be where the camera would be up here. And that's her bottom.
There you go.
That's like her right here where the cursor
It's
is.
right here. Yeah. It's right that area right there.
Oh.
So she's, and I did this because this photo is probably the closest to the original that there is, and this is actually skin tone. I don't know if you can see, it looks a little bit different on the screen, but this is skin tone. This is not actually white. In other pictures that you see, they've took a little bit of color out, so it looks like it's more misty than.
Okay, have you tried recreating something like that?
Not yet.
Okay.
But it's in the works.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It does look exactly like a nose.
That was one.
Can you get a picture of the photographer and we'll compare the nose?
I had.
Sure.
So I do have pictures in a file because that's another piece that I'm working on. But I did find a picture of her and the camera that she used, and you could definitely do this. You could definitely make the mistake because the next pictures, she had a bunch of other pictures. So like that's another one.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good catch.
It was messed up, but these are all outside the car.
Yeah. Cool.
It's amazing she survived, really.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, she did survive. So there you go.
All right.
That's fun. I love this stuff.
Yeah, that was good.
As soon as you said it was a nose, now I can't see anything
but a big nostril.
but a big nostril.
Ghost boogers.
I love it. I love it.
That's good.
All right.
It is legit a nostril.
Is it my turn again?
Yep.
Okay. So all right, let me put this up. So my next one will be looking at this thing. So this is a pretty famous photograph.
Yes.
It's taken at the Amityville house. It was taken by the camera, but it was set up by Ed Warren. And it was a camera that was set up to take pictures. There was a weird thing because it said it was supposed to take pictures like every 10 minutes overnight. And we're talking, this was 1976 that this is happening. So I'm guessing at the most you'd have a film roll with 36 frames in it. So that's about it. You're not, I guess you could last, let's see, 6 per night. Yeah, hour. So you're getting like 5 hours worth overnight of pictures if you take one every 10 minutes. But this is supposed to be an infrared picture. And there is a figure here, a face here that's looking out. Let me get a little closer. I should have gotten a better picture. But basically, yeah, there's a face there looking at the camera. It's small. Better images show that you can see a flannel shirt in between the railing. But one thing I want to point out here is that this does look like a real person to me. It looks like a solid person because there was a flash used. And we can tell that that's a flash because you can see there's hard shadows off the railing. And looking at the angle, the shadows, like on this side, the shadow is to the right of each railing. But as soon as we cross over the middle part here, now the shadows are to the left of each railing. So that's telling me the flash was actually right on top of the camera because these shadows are actually down below the railing. So it's telling me like the camera was right here, the flash was right here. So it would reflect exactly how it would off of this person. But there was a person there. Let's see. So let me give you a little background here. This image was allegedly captured by in the infamous Amityville house during the 1976 investigation led by paranormal jackasses Ed and Lorraine Warren. A camera was set up on the second floor landing to shoot black and white infrared film throughout the night. Every image was empty of unusual phenomenon, save this one. George Lutz, the patriarch of at the center of the Amityville horror story, revealed the photo on the Merv Griffin show in 1979 and suggested that it may be the ghost of John DeFeo, a young boy who was murdered in the house before the Lutz moved in. The authenticity of the photo, along with the Amityville story, has been widely doubted, because for good reason, with some holding that the photo depicts Paul Bartz, who was part of the Warrens' investigation team. There's one picture of this guy, Paul Bartz, and he is wearing a flannel shirt. It doesn't look exactly the same, though. But he's wearing a flannel shirt, but he's not looking directly at the camera. So I can't compare. And I couldn't find any other pictures of him. It's possibility because he is wearing a flannel shirt. And if that's what's his thing, and we know that he was there, honestly, that's the most likely cause of this until we get better information.
Okay.
Because there is no timestamp on this. There is no time frame. We're not giving it a time frame. So I have no idea when this photo was taken throughout the night. But I do know that he was there all night. So it is possible that he looked out because it was dark. It wouldn't have been lit up or anything until it actually fired the flash. So he
would scare the shit out of him too when he did.
You're right.
That would be scary to see that. Holy crap.
But in better images, and I'll see if I can find one while you guys are discussing or putting in your thoughts. But you can definitely see the flannel shirt between the railings, and it's amazing.
And the eyes lighting up, no surprise.
Yeah.
Did he have glasses, or are those just
that's probably just eye shine, eye reflection, because he's looking directly at the camera. And I think this just lined it perfectly because according to the shadows here, that flash is pointed directly at him. It's not at the scene. That is centered directly at him. So he would be looking directly back at the lens, and you would get that. You would definitely get that.
Okay.
So yeah, any questions from you guys or comments? Anybody from the chat room? No?
Definitely a creepy ass photo though. I mean,
it is. It really is, especially when you get a better look at it. It does look like a little kid, but
based on the history of the house, that's why people are assuming it's probably a demon child, which goes to show how you can bias immediately your interpretation of something that may not have any paranormal causation at all, just by the prior history.
Right.
It would be interesting if people didn't know this picture, and it's pretty well known. It would be really interesting just to give it to people with no history, no nothing, and just say, this is a photo I took with whatever, like a nighttime night vision camera or something in a house, and there's kids running around the house. What do you think this is? Versus
that's a kid.
Here's the house with a haunted history, demonic possession, all this bullshit. And come on, tell me that ain't the damn kid.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, there you go. That's a better look. And you can
it was the come on in northern dialect that got me.
This is definitely
come on. It's obviously the demon child. That's the only thing.
That's a kid.
And here's the only picture that I could find.
That was the kid that was murdered in the house, though. So
that should be That should be Paul. What's his name? Let me see. Paul Bartz. That should be Paul Bartz. This guy.
Okay.
But that's the only picture I could find of him. But yeah, it definitely looks like a small kid's face, and he's kind of looking up. He knows exactly where the camera is. He's looking right at it.
Yeah.
So
John had a good question here that you can maybe address.
Sure. How are the eyes shining? Humans don't have this in their retinas that causes animals' eyes to shine. So we don't have eye shine per se, but we do have red eye. So you do have the flash that reflects off the back of the retina. That's why we have red eye reduction in photographs. So you can get that. But in infrared film, you're not going to get the color, first of all, because, well, they shot in black and white. And second, they're still using a flash. So you can still get red eye per se, but it won't show up as red eye. It'll show up as just bright lights in your eyes because now it's black and white. And also, we don't have an original. I've never seen a negative for this, ever. I've never seen the original photo of this. I've only seen copies on here. And sometimes that eye shine or the eyes light up very slightly. So I don't know how much help those eyes have had over the years with how they look. But I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all that he got something like that.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
So this camera was set up in this position to take a photo every 10 minutes and nobody was there. Is that correct?
The best of my knowledge, yes.
So my first question is, are the other photos from this roll online? Like, can we see the rest of the photos with nothing in them?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I've never found.
And I'm guessing I don't know if he knew the camera was there or not.
Kind of looks like he did.
For me, it's very interesting that he's staring directly at the camera, almost like somebody was talking to him from the other side of the camera.
Yeah, like calling out to him, like, "Hey, and you know what? Given that it was Ed and Lorraine, I wouldn't put it by them. You're like, hey, Paul, you stick your head out, click, take a picture.
Want some cookies?
There you go. I hear you. Yeah. Bob says, why shoot in black and white? Was it just cheaper at the time? I think because that's how it was sold. Black and white infrared film. It was. I think that was how it was sold consumer wise.
I don't think they had color black and white or infrared back in those days.
Because they were still. I mean, you're talking like at this time, 400 speed film was the top of the line, and if you wanted to go higher ISO, you had to develop it past that. So that was part of the developing process where you pushed it past the ISO setting and brightened it up more. So.
Remember what a bitch that stuff was? You had to keep it in a cooler, and then when you took it, you had to make sure your camera was sealed completely around where you load the film, so you didn't get any light leakage. And then when you took it out, it had to be in a pitch black room and put it back in the cooler and keep it cold. Oh, what a pain in the ass that was.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very easy to fuck that up.
Yep.
And I mean, we might be talking about that a little bit later because it kind of goes into one of the pictures that we'll be talking about. But that's why I would speculate. I don't know 100%, Bob, but that's my. I think only black and white infrared was available to the consumer at the time. All right. Let's get that out of here. Dave, you're up next.
All right. Let me pull my screen back up here, and we're going to go to Bachelor's Grove.
Oh.
Proclaimed to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in the world, depending on what show you watch. So this is not very far from us. This is great. And then obviously, if you guys ever come to visit, we're going to have to go and visit just to say that you did.
Absolutely.
It's a fun place to go. So I am actually going to read a couple pages out of this book, Haunted Bachelor's Grove by Ursula Bielski, which is a really good book. If you want to know anything about Bachelor's Grove, you want to hear all the stories, all the hypotheses, paranormal, not paranormal, the history. It's a really good book. So I think she did a really good job of explaining what was going on and the history behind this photo. So I'm just going to read a couple sentences from that. So on August 10th, 1991, Judy Huff Fells was visiting Bachelor's Grove Cemetery with the Ghost Research Society, which is one of the oldest local ghost hunting groups in the nation, founded by Dale Kaczmarek. During the visit, she took one of the most controversial and infamous paranormal photos of all time, first published in the Chicago Sun-Times and the National Enquirer. The incredible capture of the Madonna of Bachelor's Grove, the image of a white lady or the woman on the stone, has been circulated in all corners of the globe and regularly appears on lists of top paranormal photographs. It is a ritual for visitors to Bachelor's Grove to reenact the renowned scene, and I did that with my daughter Emma when Jen and I went. It was great. She was sitting there, and we have a picture of it. It's cute. It's just fun to do stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, having their photos taken sitting on the stone. Judy Huff Fells was first contacted me, Ursula, in the late 1990s to tell me about the day she took her famous photo. I asked her to retell the story here, and I'll read this and then stop and we can discuss it. In the late 80s, my sister and I convinced our mom to start a group which gave lessons on how to teach people how to find, enhance, and safely use their abilities. After all the sessions were over with each group, my sister, Marie Abba, and I organized and ran an interactive ghost tour. This was for our mom's students to experiment and practice their abilities at several known haunted locations throughout Chicago and the suburbs. My sister and I met Dale Kazmarek, founder of the Ghost Research Society, invited us to his meetings, and we then became members of his group. In 1991, GRS had planned an investigation of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. The team members brought their equipment. My mom, sister, and I were coming only with our gifts. Someone from the group suggested I bring some infrared film and take a picture where I sensed activity. The investigation was done where each member was given a clipboard, a pen, and a map of the cemetery. Then everyone except for one person would wait outside of the fenced area. Then one person at a time would walk through Bachelor's with our clipboard and whatever equipment they brought with them. As they walked, they would take note where and what they saw, heard, and or felt. Then they would use their equipment to see if they could detect something. So I walked through. I'd take pictures when I felt something. My camera was an Olympus automatic 35 millimeter telephoto. As soon as you could take a picture, the camera would automatically wind the film to the next frame. The design of the camera made it impossible to double expose film. Well, okay. Yeah, what about when it's out of the camera? Anyway, after developing my pictures, I found a woman or girl sitting on a broken piece of headstone. I did not see her with my naked eye the day of the investigation, although I believe I may have come across her on a few other occasions later. The rest is history. So then they talk a little bit about, potentially who it could be, but that's not really, we don't need to get into that. So very famous photo. There was rumors that it was faked. A lot of rumors that it was faked, but nobody ever came out and owned it and said that we definitely staged it or faked it. So it is an interesting photo, but again, like as Kenny always points this out, it's always amazing how these are all like right within frame. Like, hey, it's right there. There's the ghost sitting there. I sense something. Hey, let's take a picture right there. So I don't know. It's an interesting photo. A lot of people stand by it, but again, it's a solid form. You can see it almost looks like shoes there with the legs stretched out, the dress, the hair. There's a lot of people that have said they think somebody was dressed up, ran in, picture was taken, and then ran back out. And you talk to the other people that were there and they claim they didn't see anything, but they sensed something. So I don't know. Again, for me, it's another one of those, it's almost too good to be true. It's an infrared photo. I'm not a photo analyst, so I've looked at it and I go, it's interesting. But again, there is controversy because some people claim that it was faked, but others say no, absolutely not. That we didn't fake it. It's something in the photo. Obviously, you look at it. There's something there. What, I don't know. So, Bachelor's Grove, it's so well known. It's just got so much history, and let's face it, this was a group, part of a tour and an investigation. They were very involved in the paranormal. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, hey, let's bring some infrared film just to see what happens. So, I don't know. It kind of depends on who you want to believe and what you think is going on there. So, all right.
Yeah, that seems like what it comes down to. I mean, I don't know what else to do with this one other than
it's the best damn ghost photo ever. It's real.
So, well, I mean, if I got this, I'd send it to Kenny.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the first thing that that comes up when I look at this is that we're not seeing. This is what we're used to seeing right here. This is the common image, the common crop image, but that's not the entire photo. There's so much more to it. Yeah, I mean, there's it actually the width is double. At least double of what that is. So there's a lot more going on in this picture. It's framed. It is definitely. I don't want to use the word staged because that kind of sounds. It makes it sound like it was set up. It was set up to hoax. But this is composed. That's what I'm looking for. It's composed. This was a shot that was meant to be taken. When I look at her, I don't see a woman in a dress. I see a woman in mom jeans. She has 90s hair. I see 90s style hair. Like it's great. All fluffed out here, but I see mom jeans with the waist and I see the belt. The belt is distinct. It does stand out. But a while back when I really got into analyzing this, when I enhanced it, there is no dress. Like they're not wearing a dress like you would think. Like it almost looks like they're wearing like a flowy dress. But what you see underneath between the legs and the stone, that's the grass in the background. There is no dress there.
Yep, no, you're right. Yep.
And the more I zoomed in, the more I enhanced it, the more I realized she's wearing jeans. So that doesn't mean it's not a ghost just because they're wearing jeans, but it's a more modern photo. It would be more modern there. And because of the profile, this is a beautiful image. The light, even though it's infrared, the properties of light are still in effect here. So you can see that they are reflecting the infrared light. Not only are they reflecting it, but she's overexposed in the front. In her front area, it's overexposed, meaning that's a solid object. It's reflecting light back at the camera. And it just looks like a peaceful picture to me. It looks like a very well-composed image, but she's even casting a shadow. If you look behind her butt, she is casting a shadow on the stone. So, and she's casting a shadow on herself. She has that little spot of overexposure, but then you can see it's in shade behind her, especially where her elbow is on her thigh. You can see where it's casting a shadow. So I don't see this as, and I've talked to Dale Kazarak. I've talked to him a couple times in years past, and I know he believes fully that this is a ghost photo. Yeah, I don't. He does. I don't. I think it was somebody there, but they don't have pictures of everyone that was there at the time, so there's no way to compare it. But yeah, for me, I think this is just a real person that somebody took advantage of that scene. I would have too. This is a great photo. It's a great composition, but I don't think it's a ghost.
I don't either. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, it's just too again, to me, it's too perfect.
Yeah.
Way too perfect.
Yeah.
So, yep.
All right. Tim.
Yes.
You're up.
Ready for the next?
Yep. Oh.
This is the Ginevra King photo.
I'm sorry, what was that?
From her house, Ginevra.
Ginevra?
Ginivra. Ginevra King. She was an American socialite. She actually hung out and kind of, I guess, dated F. Scott Fitzgerald, who used their relationship and the, I guess, the societal inside information to kind of base her in The Great Gatsby. They from 1915 to 1917, they were in a relationship until the father was like, "No, you're going to date someone that's another royalty and has lots of money." So she ended up not marrying him, nor dating him. But this was taken in not long ago. I don't have the date, but this was taken from some people that vacation next to her house or go up to her where in the town where they're from, and they typically take a walk around and look at her old house. They said that they were walking through. This is on the top story window of the house, and we're taking photos of it because it was becoming dilapidated. It was wearing out, not being very well cared for, which kind of bothered them. And they claim that they have a photo of Ginevra King looking out her window. So this ended up pretty famous too when I went through. I think it's a picture of a cloud, just like the clouds above it in the other window frames.
Let's see here. I'm trying to get a bigger picture so they can see it. Let me see.
I can pull it up on mine.
Yeah, pull it up and share it so we can.
All right, let me get my file.
Here, I can share it. Hold on.
You got it?
Yep. There, that they can see it better. And then this is supposed to be her, I believe. Yeah. She cute. So we're looking at this. She claims she captured an image of the ghost in the dormer window of the dilapidated building in Lake Forest, Illinois, which formerly belonged to the American socialite Geneva?
See? Right. It's hard. Geneva.
Lake Forest, Illinois is just down the road, Tim, so I'll have to go down there and take a look.
Come on, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
We're visiting Dave. We got to go out and visit him for a weekend.
Yeah, we got lots of stuff we can go look at.
Because that's on my, Bachelor's Grove is on my bucket list. I definitely need to go there. All right.
Yep.
Let's see what else we have. So that's the place. Okay.
Yeah, that's the place.
It's nice.
It's a nice, small, comfortable home for a summer home, I guess.
All right. So they took this picture. The one thing, I mean, there's two things that stand out, obviously, to me. One is this white line goes over top of the frame. So the wooden frame looks like they're on the outside.
Yep.
And this is covering it. So that's on the outside. So this could be a bug. This part right here, I don't like because it's over top of the frame again. And that's telling me that the chin of this thing, it's either blending in because, I mean, if you do, and you can't see it, but
I don't know, because the darker part looks like it's over that too, slightly below the lighter part of the frame. So if you look, I'm seeing it. Yeah, right there. There's like a fine. There you go.
Yeah, right there.
Well, ghosts can stick their head through windows and look out, you know.
Well, of course.
Right?
It's obviously what she's doing.
But in these kind of examples, it's very difficult to separate what is the frame and what is a reflection, because this is similar color. It's definitely it's grayscale we're dealing with here. Yeah. So you can see that the rest of the top of the frame here where it's lit, it's all the similar grayscale as this figure. So I don't know if this is actually part of it. This is probably a reflection, like you said, Tim, of clouds in the sky. And it just so happened to blend in with what the frame looks like.
I don't know if you have one that shows the clouds above it. I have mine pulled up.
All right, yeah, pull it here. Let me stop this.
Yeah,
Let me you share that.
Yes, that's more of a distance view.
Right.
But you can see. Oh, you can't see my mouse cursor, can you?
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, all around, you still have all these. Thinking similar, at least.
Right.
Looking.
But even there you go. So go up to the top 3 windows. All right. Go to the right. Wait. Go more left. Go to the one. Keep going a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. Stop. Like right there. You can see how at that lighter part of the frame, it kind of blends in with the cloud reflections. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just because this is one low quality image. It's zoomed in, so your quality decreases already. And we're seeing a blend of grayscale. Unless,
up here?
You know what? I wonder if the glass is on the outside.
Yeah, that could be because some of those
I
windows.
bet you we are. I bet you we're seeing the wood frame it's likely on the inside. That's why it's going over it.
Could be. Well, just have to go out there and take a look.
Let's do it.
Dave, you got like so much homework from all this.
Yeah, you got to set this shit up. We'll come out.
Cool.
Could this be
John, I think that's what this is.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't doubt that.
I mean, I see so many people not take into account reflections, especially when it comes to windows like this. If you're looking up at a building, at a window on the second floor, you are going to get a reflection of the sky.
Yeah. And
that could be clouds. That could be trees across the street. These are things you have to look for and line it up so you know exactly what you're looking at. So yeah, I think you're right. This is nothing more than clouds. All right. So I have one more. We're doing pretty good. You want to take our break and then get into this, or?
Yeah, yes? I drank a whole thing of coffee, so I got to.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Here we go. So we'll be back in 2 minutes and 20 some seconds, and go. All right, we are back.
I feel better, dude. Got more room for coffee.
Oh
Ooh.
wow, woo, that's good shit. All right, so moving on. Number 3 for each of us. Let's go. Let's see here. Let me get this out of the way. Put up my next picture. Where'd it go? I had it up, and it disappeared on me. So, son of a bitch. There it is. All right. Here we go. Share screen, and yes, you guys should recognize.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a pretty famous one. It's called the Wem Ghost. It was taken in 1995, which is relatively recent.
Mm-hmm.
It was a man named Tony O'Rahilly. Captured this image of a mysterious girl standing amid the flames as Wem Town Hall in Shropshire, England, which burned to the ground in 1995. Allegedly, he went there the day after it burned down and started taking some pictures. The intense heat of the flames prompted some to argue that no living thing could stand so close to the exhibit with such composure as this woman is allegedly standing there in a doorway like no big deal, kind of hanging out. So the town deemed it a supernatural entity and has since capitalized on it.
Well, the town deemed it. Did they get a proclamation from the local officials?
Nope. No, they pretty much just adopted it.
Okay.
Like
Still have a festival every year to celebrate it?
I would not be surprised. Town residents assumed that it was the ghost of Jane Churn, a girl who in 1677 accidentally set fire to her home and much of the town, and is believed to haunt the area. So she basically burned down the town.
So every time there's a fire, they're blaming this girl.
Yes.
She's like, I didn't do it.
So O'Rahilly, because I'm not really sure how to say his name, but O'Rahilly submitted the photo to the Association for Scientific Study of Anomalous Phenomenon, who in turn consulted the former head of the Royal Photographic Society, both of whom said it hadn't been tampered with. Okay, so for a while, this was put out there, and it was deemed to be a real photo. 2 other photographers, as part of another photographic association over there, because this was in the UK, looked at it, and one determined that it was indeed a fake because they saw scan lines over the girl's image. But the more they got into it, the more they debated back and forth. And it actually came to, let's see, on May 17th, 2010, the Shropshire Star, which is the local paper in that area, ran a story called "Does Postcard Solve Ghost Riddle?" Apparently, they ran the photo a few weeks earlier showing the postcard from a 1922 image called it was a street in the town. And I think I have that. Hold on. Do I have it? Yes, I know I do have it. Hold on. Technical difficulties. This is when I argue at everyone, right? Argue with my wife. Anyway, so this is a 1922 postcard that was featured on one of the local websites for like the town, saying, "Oh, this day in history" or something like that. And it was promoting the history. And a sharp-eyed reader by the name of where is he? Oh crap! I totally lost the Brian Lear, 77-year-old grandfather, noticed a girl in this picture that looked really, really like the girl in the fire. So he's looking down here. This woman right here.
Okay.
And when we go back to the other picture, so because I think I have it here. Do I have it? No. Hold on. Damn it. This is not working out the way I want. Come on.
Come on, picture.
Where's it at? Oh, nope. Okay. I think it's just, there we go.
There you go.
I think I can do this. Actually, both at the same time. Oh, there we go. So yeah, if we look at these girls side by side, we can see that they're pretty much the same. And actually, when you line them up,
boy, the dress and the outfit looks pretty similar.
Yeah, it's not only very similar, it is the exact same thing.
So even the belt line looks like it's about right.
The neck.
Yeah.
The belt going behind the bars through the bars, and then the little thing down her, it looks like a little tie.
It's like a tie. The belt, there's actually a little bump in the middle here. You can see it on here. The tie comes down, the same with the hat, everything exactly the same. So this gentleman, the gentleman that took the picture, his name, Tonio Rahilly, he died a few years before this postcard was rediscovered again. So he never had a chance to, answer for the obvious hoax that this is. But it was a very famous photo. They still promote it. From what I read, the town still, that's their claim to fame. So they still kind of push
obvious hoax? You think that was obviously hoaxed, or was it just some girl that would, hey, what's going on in there?
I think, well, after seeing the picture, and this is not a good quality. I don't have a good quality side by side, but when you do put them side by side, it's identical. It's I have no doubt whatsoever that they lifted the picture off of this postcard.
All right.
Yeah, no doubt at all.
Yeah, I feel good enough. Like I could see getting a conviction with this.
That's a bold statement, Tim.
Yeah, that is pretty bold. So yeah, I mean it's definitely the same girl, and I will. You guys can comment if you want, but I'll look for a. Let me look for a better picture, a side by side.
I think the belt and the tie. At first, when I was looking at the picture where she was just looking into the building, my mind kept going. It looked like she's holding her arms out straight at like a 90-degree angle. I don't know why. I didn't, I wasn't too sure what was going on there, and I didn't pay much attention to the tie because I just assumed it was one of the railings.
Right.
But when I started noticing that picture, again, I can't see her face very well, but I noticed at least those two things lined up really well. I mean, it doesn't mean it, but it sure does look like it. And I believe if I could see the hat, surely to God he didn't leave the hat on there as well. But the more I looked at it, the more, oh God, come on.
Yeah.
Jeez, come
on.
So
that's much better side by side.
Yep.
No doubt whatsoever that that's her.
Yeah.
And just the blending right here where it blends out, because you can see that's where they started blending in the photo into it and kind of messed up and overdid it.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So even back here, this is actually the telltale. This is beautiful because this can I make it any bigger? No, I can't. All right. So if you look right here, you can see the shadow and it matches up perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
There's the line. And that is something that I pick out when I talk about like the phone apps that insert the ghost for you. Usually they are the ghosts that you insert with a photo or with a phone app are so cropped. It's very obvious where they actually cut out the rest of the picture. And that right there, that little shadow is perfectly lined up and tells me, okay, this is where they cut it.
Yeah.
That's not a belt now that I look at it. It's just a shadow. It might be something underneath of it. But even the shadow goes over into it under what you just saw.
I mean, the pattern of that shadow or belt shadow, it's exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Done. Convicted. Out. This is
right.
fun.
All right, Dave.
All right. So while I'm pulling up the next picture here, John Kennedy. Dave, what are you drinking tonight? I am drinking Southern Comfort with a little bit of Coke in it mixed in. Just a little bit, not much. So it's pretty strong. All right.
Postcard. Why does she look so angry? So, Bob, I just answer this real quick. Got to remember, this is 1922. So when they were taking images, they were long exposures. So people had to stay relatively still. And she was probably, this photography wasn't like an everyday occurrence. So you still had people that were curious, but like, what the fuck are you doing kind of look. And that's what I'm getting off of this. Like,
she's obviously the fire starter. I'll burn your shit down, bitch.
I think she was just standing there and kind of like, what is this guy doing? What is this? So,
all right. Be loaded up, ready to share there if you want to. All right.
Oh, yes.
I have a feeling Kenny might have a few things to say about these. All right. So this was based on, if you remember the movie The Entity, where the woman was being supposedly raped by the ghost, and they had the parapsychologist come in, and then they end up, which it's a great movie, but got a little out of control. At the end, they froze the ghost with the liquid nitrogen, which seemed like a perfectly safe idea to dump thousands of gallons of liquid nitrogen when there's a human subject in the room, but whatever.
What could go wrong?
So we all remember that movie, and as a kid, that movie scared the crap out of me. I'm like, holy shit. It was a great movie, but it was based on an actual case that was investigated by, at the time, the UCLA Department of Parapsychology. So they don't have that anymore, obviously, but back in the mid to late 70s, Doris Bither will claim that she was having all of these paranormal experiences, and ghosts were molesting her, basically. If you look into the case, she did have a lot of issues. There was a lot of, drinking. There was a lot of potential abuse going on. There may have been some other questionable things. The three parapsychologists or people from UCLA that investigated it was Carrie Gaynor, Thelma Moss, and Barry Taff. I think most people for sure know Dr. Barry Taff. He's still around. He still publishes stuff. He has a website, and I got some of this information from his website. He investigated the case, and these photos came out of part of the investigation. They actually appeared in Popular Photography, and supposedly Popular Photography is like, oh, they're authentic ghost photos. So they were taken with a 35 millimeter SLR camera with, I read, a deep red filtered strobed camera. Kenny's going to have to explain whatever the hell that is. In a supposedly a completely dark room. And one of the things that I've actually pointed out when I've shown these during presentations too, is it is interesting, and this is what Dr. Taft points out as well, and others, that you see the arc of light over her head. Their argument is that if that was a light coming in, or it was actually an external light or a flashlight or something that was shining in, you would see it bend in the corner of the room. It'd be on the wall, and it would bend in the corner. Here you see it just over her head, and then the other picture in the lower right, you see some other arcs of light. Now, they claim that here's something from Dr. Taft's website. What we all visually perceived at the time were large, brightly luminous balls of lime green light rapidly flying about the corner of the bedroom where Doris sat on her bed, cowering in fear at the incredible luminous display around her. So he admits that the arc, if you read further down, that the camera was probably not shooting fast enough to actually capture that ball of light that was moving. So it sounds like he thinks what they were visually seeing, it's just because of the camera exposure time that you're getting the arc of light. So to me, it's an interesting photo, and I'm going to love to hear Kenny's thoughts on this, because this was somewhere where they did have lots of supposed instances, and they documented luminous phenomena. More than one person saw it. They saw them zipping around the room. There was many things going on that could have been a poltergeist case, RSPK, recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis. They were able to capture some of it maybe on film here, but I'm not familiar with whatever a deep red filtered strobe camera is. I know what a 35 millimeter SLR is. That's about where it stops. But I I did find it interesting that he does admit that they did see a ball of green luminous light, but you're probably seeing the streak because their camera wasn't shooting fast enough to get the ball, to see the ball pictures of it. So he thinks it probably just captured one of it as it was moving. So to me, it's got a lot of interesting aspects that they visually saw it. More than one person saw it. A lot of people in the room there, different students from the college, investigators taking a look at it. So yeah, it to me, it's an interesting photo. They didn't get a whole lot of these. It's fairly, I think this was one of 4, they said. The other one is just kind of a luminous ball or blob in a corner of a dark room. And then these 2 photos, and then another photo that was lost at some point, and they didn't have another copy of it. So 4 supposedly anomalous photos. These are the 2 most interesting ones with the arcs of light. But again, maybe not an arc. Maybe whatever they were seeing was just because the camera wasn't shooting fast enough, they got the arc. So I don't know. To me, it's pretty interesting, the fact that they say they saw it and more than one person saw it at the time and they were able to capture some of it. So, and then there was other times though they did have luminous phenomena that they could see with their eyes, but the camera didn't capture it at all. They have lots of shots and they're like, we just couldn't capture it. So we're not sure what the difference was between what we saw sometimes and we got these shots, and other times we didn't get anything. So it's an interesting story. She did pass away, I think, in 1999, alone in a room by herself. And her son claims that he did see luminous balls of light when she passed away, similar to what they reported and observed during the time of this case. So just an interesting little tidbit. I don't know what to make of it. Could be just a story, but it was interesting. So, all right, I'm going to turn it over to Tim and Kenny for their analysis.
I have a question. I certainly can't do anything about the photography side of it, but my question was, is the person that took the photograph saying that they took the photograph because they could see the balls of lights bouncing around at the time?
Yeah, I think that's what Dr. Taff was claiming, that they were seeing it and they were trying to capture the phenomena, so they were taking the photos.
The reason I ask that is because it doesn't look like the people are focused on the lights that are bouncing around the wall. Like
they were supposed to be bouncing all over the room, so I'm not sure at what point they were looking where. That could be. I don't know.
They all seem to be focused on her except the one gentleman to the right.
Yeah, I think at that time, I thought he said, though, let's see. Doris sat on her bed, cowering in fear at the incredible luminous display around her. So that would make sense. They'd be looking at her then. Yeah,
they don't seem impressed. Like their body language and what they're doing doesn't seem impressed by.
Well, not everybody runs around and says, dude, run when they see something scary. These are actually supposedly researchers from the college trying to document and figure out what the hell is going on. So it's kind of like think of it this way. My comment on that is, if you go into an emergency room, the ER doctor doesn't look at you and go, holy fuck, you're screwed, like somebody else would. They're very calm. They're very collected. They're working through a process. And I'm going to assume, because these are probably people from the college, that they're trying to be a little more than, whoa, look at all the light phenomena. That's just my take on it. I don't know.
Even with that though, even if they were calm and not like totally freaking out, which is, I didn't mean it like they would be running, but it looks like if they're bouncing around the room, it looks like all the heads would be in different locations looking at the lights.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Holding hands, like they're doing some type of like a prayer thing, or
I don't know. I don't know. I think they, according to what Dr. Taff wrote, and he was there, they were observing what was going on over her head or around her. Yeah. That's all I can tell you.
And like, I don't know. I mean, you make a good point. I don't know. It's just, it just doesn't look like they're impressed by. I'm not saying that they don't see the lights, and maybe I'm envisioning like there's a bunch of lights flashing around. Even what's the word? I guess like an analogy I could make would be like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, when the scientists are watching them come in. It's not that they're running around like their heads cut off, but they kind of stand and stare in different directions at all the lights around them.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting. I mean, if that is the case, though, and they're that calm, that is actually some good discipline. And I wish more people would practice that when things happen and collect data and not get too excited.
Yeah.
All right, Biddle. He's gonna ruin it for us. Here we go.
I'm gonna fucking destroy this for you.
All right. Well,
all right.
And I'm gonna ask you: have you talked to Barry Taff about this?
I have not. I tried.
You should.
But I reached out to him. But okay. I did talk to Kerry Gaynor.
Kerry Gaynor. Okay.
Yeah, I did go back and forth with him.
Okay.
So first and foremost, I do agree with Tim's observation there. There is no reaction from the people that are watching this allegedly go on. And according to the report, and I do have the Aliens Above, Ghosts Below book.
I have that too.
That he has. And I read through the report and there's a lot of things wrong. There's a lot that is wrong with the report and what we see here. Because in the report, when this photo, both of these actually were taken by the same person on the same night. There is supposed to be a grid pattern on the wall in the background because they describe in detail how they put poster boards up with that were all numbered, that were black poster boards with white duct tape. So you could see them, and that they had a north, south, east, west kind of orientation, all that stuff. None of that is here. None of that. And that's a big deal to me. First and foremost, that's without looking at the photos. But no, that there should be a grid.
There's something there, but it doesn't look like there's squares, but there's certainly not what I would say is a planned or plotted out grid.
Even with this, and this is not infrared film. I want to point that out.
No, it is not.
From the start. This is just black and white, high speed film, 400 speeds film that I believe that they tried to push up to like 1600 ISO to bring it out because they couldn't see a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So the problem with the setup, there's obvious because they distinctly say, or Barry actually says that they had black poster boards with white duct tape. You should see that contrast. And so the setup is not there.
Okay.
The setup that they claim is not there. The person that took these photos, neither were taken by Barry or Terry. Kerry
Gaynor.
Kerry Gaynor, yeah. Who is now like a quit smoking therapist now. He's not a parapsychologist.
Gotta make a living, man. There's not a lot of money.
I hear you. I hear you. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, they were both of these photos were taken by Dick Thompson.
That's right. You're right. You're right. Yep, I do have that. Sorry.
Dick Thompson has issues of his own. He's been involved with other alleged poltergeist cases. And some of the other photos that he's taken are, in my photography opinion, are staged. He should have known. As soon as I saw these photos, I was like, all right, I know what they are. He should too. There are other problems with the one photo on the left. So this is the main photo. This is the most popular photo. For one, Doris, who is sitting on the bed, she is completely uninterested. There is no shock. There is no scared. I don't see anything here. She's uninterested, as is everyone else. You see people are kind of just sitting there. They're waiting. They are in the dark. And I want to point out that this band of light, there's two distinct things that are happening here. You're getting a concentration of light in the middle, but as it goes out to the ends, you see how it fades out?
Yep.
That's telling me that it is something close to the lens and close to the flash. So I know that they were holding it was a independent flash.
Okay, so hold up. Let me ask you, what is a deep red filtered strobe camera?
Okay.
That would help us understand maybe what is going on here a little bit.
So when you read the report, and I do have the article from Popular Photography, I was interested that when they were talking about this deep red thing, it's very confusing because, first of all, they had infrared film, but they fucked it up on the first night.
Okay.
They spoiled it. So that's gone. There is no infrared film being used. Even though it's mentioned in the report, they fucked it up in the beginning. And they mentioned that. Barry mentions that in the beginning of his report. So they're using high-speed film here. The deep red filter, all they did was take a red filter and put it over. They tried to put it over the flash.
Okay.
So it's not infrared film. It sounds more technical than it is.
Why would you put it over the flash and not the actual lens?
Because they're trying to block the rest of the spectrum except for red light.
Okay.
So the photographer, which honestly, I mean, that's a story on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't trust him at all, but I think he was trying to say, oh, well, look, we're using a deep red filter, kind of insinuating that they're using a pseudo infrared film, which they're not. So when I look at these pictures, the main thing I want to point out is this picture that you have highlighted with the box around on the left.
Yep.
If you look on the left side of this light strand, it does not stop when it hits that person's head that's sitting down on the floor. She has it goes over her head.
Yes.
And it goes over the lens of the camera that the other woman is holding.
Mm-hmm.
That's telling me that is much closer to the camera than it is to everything else. It's not actually over Doris's head.
Okay.
That's within inches of the lens.
Interesting. Okay.
I actually think this is hair. Because I've done it before, and there might be an issue of Skeptical Inquirer coming up where you'll see an example of this.
Okay.
But I was able to recreate this with hair.
Okay.
And given the 1974, I think that's when it was, 1974. And that there were supposed to be, according to the report, should be over 30 people in that room.
Okay.
And if they're all piled in, and I mean, we're looking at it, we can count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, at least 9 people in that photo.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who's next to him, who's right above him. Maybe he's putting the camera over top of us. I don't know all that part.
Okay.
But both of these pictures look like hair because when I pointed out before how they fade out at the end, that is basically when you have something coming close to the camera. I don't know if I can demonstrate here, but like the part that's closer will get most of the flash. And as everything goes away or comes towards the camera, it'll fade out.
But when you talked to Carrie and you went back and forth, what do you make of at least what Dr. Taff has reported, that they did see balls of lime green light, luminous balls of light in the room?
So
at the time,
my conversation with Gaynor was very short. He wouldn't offer any details. He basically regurgitated exactly what was in the book. And I mean, you obviously hear the. I don't like that. I didn't like his response because it was basically a cut and paste kind of response. I did not like it. If you're seeing these lights, there's. I'm trying to figure out how to say it. When you do light painting, which should have resulted from the experience that they were having. So they're saying they're seeing these green lights and they're shooting everywhere. We should have, sorry to say this, energy bands going. I love the look on you guys. So we should have these lines of light literally going all over the place. That's not what we're seeing here. We're seeing distinct trails. They're using a flash. They're using high-speed film, but they are not using long exposures here. So these are pictures taken with a flash. So I'm guessing, based on my experience, that they're shooting at about like 1/30th of a second, which is not slow enough to catch something going across and getting a light line. But it's enough that if a piece of hair, especially like a 1970s perm kind of hair, was in front of the camera, in front of the flash that they're using, that's exactly what you would get in these pictures.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I would definitely.
I have a dumb question.
Sure.
If they are using an infrared filter, I don't know, if they're using something to block the other light spectrums on the flash, if you put something on the lens over the flash and it was thick enough, would that the arc that you see above her head, would that be the opposite of a shadow where light didn't get through? Or if it was transparent enough that light got through the red but went through something else on the lens?
So what's happening here, I think I know what you're saying. What's happening here is that like right now you can see me. I'm well lit. At least I think I am well lit. But if I go closer, see how my fingers, as soon as I come close, let me see. Let me try.
Yeah.
So once you get close, the light from the flash, because you're using a flash, a slave flash. So it's actually, I think they're set up from what is described in the article here in Popular Photography. It sounds like it's a bracket coming off the camera, and then the flash is up top, and it's a full big flash unit that's firing. And I think there's a piece of hair or somebody is standing in front of the camera.
Okay.
You were getting a strand of hair coming in front of the lens, and you're overexposing that strand of hair because it's very close to the light.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It just made me think of something else, I guess. Like if you used a filter to block a certain spectrum of light and you only wanted one, if you put something on top of that filter, could you in effect make a shadow at a distance that no one else could see in a flash? Or if they could see it, I just wonder. I mean, I'm going to say it looks like a hair. I'm just wondering on a regular scale, like, could that be done? Could you make a light shadow by blocking out or changing the trajectory or refiltering filtered light to cast where that arc is where the infrared didn't get through because something was on the lens that stopped it?
Again, this was
not
an infrared photo.
Yeah, it wasn't an infrared photo. All they were doing.
No, I meant the filter, I guess. Right. I know. This is why I give you all my photos.
I don't know if you could create this with the technique that you're describing, and I think I'm getting what you're describing, but the scenario that I'm picturing here is that they simply put almost like a red sheet of cellophane, and they just held it in front of the flash. So it didn't actually block all of the light. People do that sometimes. They put it on over top of the flash, and the light that comes out, all you're getting is the red frequency that's coming out. But if you're just holding it in front of a light, the light is still going out here to the sides. You're still getting the full spectrum, the white light coming off to the sides and the top and bottom, which is reflecting off of the walls and coming back here. So this whole process, let me look here because I have the article in front of me. It says, as part of their normal contribution to the investigation, Thompson took several ordinary record shots on a Tri-X with 20 millimeter lens on a modestly priced LSR.
What do you have the reference for that article?
I have the article. I don't have a link because I had to actually get it from a library.
Okay.
I can send it to you though.
Yeah, that'd be good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Several negatives. But it just talks about the Tri-X is the kind of film. It was Kodak Tri-X 400, which was 400 speed. It was just our high speed film at the time. So they didn't even have 800 speed. I mean, 400 speed's pretty good, but not really good.
Especially when it's dark.
So it wasn't anything special. It was just a regular kind of a entry level camera that they were using. And again, it wasn't Gaynor or Taff. It was this other photographer who definitely has his own problems. And again, I won't go into that, but some of the examples of his work are very questionable. Very questionable. Where I looked at it and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You actually put that out there for people and said it was legit? Shit. But I also wanted to bring up that in this article, nowhere do they authenticate that photo. There's nothing, no mention of that. That actually came from sightings.
The fact that it was actually in Popular Photography. That's it.
Yeah, and that was it.
And they discuss it as a ghost photo.
They actually because Adrian Vance was the editor of the magazine, the West Coast magazine, and he's the one that wrote the article. And when he mentions this, he kind of just says it's almost like tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Because the line, here it is. It is the objective of this group to photograph an apparition, and it now appears to them, because that's in parentheses, to them that they have some success. That's as far as it goes with talking about how valid it is. Because that's one of the things that when I was given this project, it was like, what's it take to authenticate a photo? And so I went through it, and you honestly, you simply can't authenticate a ghost photo. It's just impossible right now, as we know it. But I just wanted to make that clear. Like, there was no authentication of a photograph. That actually came from the episode of Sightings.
Oh, did it?
They're the ones, because the host, he's the one that says it. Because I watched that really meticulously to make sure, like, who's saying this is authenticated?
Yeah.
But it's the host.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. All right.
Well, mine's going to be really easy.
Okay.
All right.
But I'm going to share. This just seems like it's easier if I share it.
All right. I love this one.
Oh, boy.
So this was from the Einfield Poltergeist.
At least the one in the other bed looks surprised in this picture, Tim, as opposed to the one
I even like, it's almost like just look surprised, kind of. Yeah. So it's funny you said that, because that's one of the things I looked at as well. Her mouth certainly has a surprise, but I can't tell if they tried to at one point to block out her face with like one of those bars and then try to remove it.
I see that.
Yeah, but her eyes don't mimic a surprise as well. So I can't say if it's true or not, but her facial expression, at least with the eyes, don't look to match like the rest of her face. But I found a very nice article from Joe Nickel about this. Very good. I got this from that. But so apparently this was when Ed and Lorraine were visiting. Sorry, I'm getting a little buzz. So at some point, Lorraine had said that the kids were sleeping soundly and were levitating. So I couldn't find exactly who took the photo. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I didn't go that deep into it. But there, you can certainly look it up, and you can see a succession of photos taking over different times of the levitation. But this one was pretty good. I like this one. So this is an alleged levitation, as I understand it, with the article and with the picture with it. But it honestly looks like she trampolined right off the bed. Her legs, certainly. I mean, I just don't see like a whole lot of levitation. And the other thing, like I again, like with Joe Nickel, like one of the things I looked at was her hair, and her hair looks like she's already made the top of her arc. and is on the way down.
Right.
And it looks like she's preparing for landing. I don't know. Maybe the sister is like, she's not going to make it. You know, maybe she's going to trip on the edge of the bed and it's going to be hilarious. I don't know. But I didn't see anything that made me think anything about a levitation here. Specifically the hair. And it doesn't look like she got right out of bed and levitated straight up. Kind of to me, it looks like she jumped off the edge of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there has been a lot written about that case, and the Warrens did visit the place, but this was actually formally investigated by the Society of Psychical Research for a long, long time. So I'm pretty sure they didn't have, at least the people from the Society of Psychical Research did not have a very high opinion of the Warrens. Yeah. And if I remember from what I read, they considered them more of a sideshow nuisance. And actually the two main members, Maurice Gross and Guy Lyon Playfair, who did the majority of the investigation for the SPR, they actually acknowledged that these two girls did fake some of the activity, but they still believe there was some legitimate activity there, which is actually not too uncommon in some poltergeist cases where the kids, they learn to love the attention. Mm-hmm. And when things stop, they want the attention to come back. So they do things, but they definitely did not think too much of the Warrens. And there were times where they claimed that they got pictures and like, yeah, we know they're faking that part of it is. So it's not surprising that while this is interesting, it looks like she took a real high jump there. Yeah. This is one of the ones I think they looked at and they're like, I don't think she really flew out of the bed like she claimed she did. Yeah. Anyway, no. It's an interesting case.
It's interesting, and I agree with you guys. If you look up the Enfield poltergeist photos, just do a search on that, you can see there's several sets, and I know there's like GIFs out there or GIFs, whatever you want to call them, where they line up a bunch. But one of the things you have to remember is that these photos were taken over several nights, and I believe. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe this camera was set up on a remote so that if something happened, they could trigger it remotely.
That or was yeah. I'll have to look at it. I actually have their book, Gross and Playfair's book on this. I'll look and see because they do comment about that.
It's either it was either a motion sensor. Which I don't think
trigger it from downstairs,
but I think that's what it was. Yeah, if they heard something, they could snap a picture. But the main thing is when you look at her. Yes, I mean, there's a couple things with this, and when you look at her, it's exactly what you said, Tim. You look at the hair. If she was levitating up, the hair would not be bouncing. If she was being thrown around, yes, you would see the hair going all over the place. You know, I mean, that's what you do. But consistently over all the photographs that are taken, it's the same way. She is jumping in the same direction. And I say jumping because that's exactly what she's doing. She is jumping from her bed. But you have to understand these are not all one succession. When they put these photos together and it makes her look like she's jumping, it's pretty cool. Yeah. But they're not all from the same incident. Because the main thing is to look at the sister in the background because she's always in a different position.
Yeah.
And if you note in some of the pictures, the girl jumping is in a different nightgown.
So it's the other thing I'm thinking, if I'm thrown out of bed, my legs are not posed like I just jumped. I'm probably going to be flailing all over the place. But that to me looks like somebody actually jumped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean all the pictures that she is caught in midair, exactly the same pose. She is jumping up. It's when you reach, because that's what you first do when you jump. You reach out with your arms. Yeah, you get airborne and you tuck your legs up because that's just how we jump. And every time, like the hair is always in the back. It's always flowing in the back because that's Her motion is going forward. She's not going up and down. And yeah, these photos are just horrible. I mean, for her, they're horrible.
Well, I had more of a challenge trying to figure out who the posters were. Like, I think is that Elvis? Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's funny.
Elvis.
I mean, some of those posters might be
John Kennedy. They were listening to House of Pain. Jump up, jump up.
Yeah. And there's other things wrong with that case, but yeah, I mean that's
things wrong with the case, but yeah, I mean it's an interesting case because there's a mix. I mean the investigators truly thought there was at least some activity there, but there was some faked activity as well, for sure. Right, and that always causes problems, you know. I mean, and it frustrated the hell out of them. They're like, "Damn it, there is activity here, but it's being screwed up by these kids who we think are trying to get some attention." But then it calls into question everything else. Like, how do you know what's real and what's not? Because if you know that they're faking shit, how can you trust them? Playfair and Gross's book is good because they actually ended up staying there for a long, long time.
Well, I mean, to their credit, good for that.
I mean, it was a lot better than the Warrens popping in or other people either analyzing it from a distance or stopping in for 2 hours and saying, "Oh, this is real" or "This is fake." I mean, they actually spent months and months and months on that case.
Yeah. I thought when I read the article, I thought how long they stood. I thought credit to them for like making it a long.
But to their credit too, they didn't say all of it was paranormal. They're like, "No, we know for sure that some of it has been faked. We know that, but it's our opinion."
I forget who
we spent
who
enough
quoted
time
in this, but they were talking about the voices.
Yeah,
and
they do
like,
voice analysis.
When we record the voices, that the little girl, I forget her name, they're like, her mouth hardly moves.
Yep. It's interesting.
Hardly moves. I mean, maybe they could have like put some tape or something and then see if they got it. But
yeah, you can actually dig up a lot of shit on that. So anyway, all right,
let's go through some questions here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going back to the entity case. If the balls of light were lit, would they not illuminate the participants?
Depends on the intensity.
Right.
I don't think I remember anybody describing how intense they were.
No, I remember the description saying that there were a lot of them, and they were just going all over the place. Because I've seen the other pictures that because they have like a partial picture of where the body of the entity was supposed to be like half forming, and there's an image of that.
It's a fucking blob.
It's horrible. It's horrible. It's really bad.
I don't see what they're talking about, but that's just me.
But I understand what you're saying there, Jim. If these lights were, and I guess it depends on how many there were and how intense. Like if you're out in your backyard and there's lightning bugs, if you have lightning bugs in your area, I mean, they don't put off much light.
Should get them on camera.
You can get them on. You can, yeah. You definitely can get them on camera.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. The intensity really doesn't. I don't think they explain it too much. I mean, I can look it up real quick, but I don't think they really get into that detail.
Okay.
All right. John Kennedy, what part of that has to do with the strobe? So I think when they're still talking about the entity case, when they're talking about strobe, that's the flash. That's what they would call it. That was the technical term. It's a strobe light. That's what it is. Even the modern ones that I use, they're actually strobes, and they get that intense, quick light out there. All right, but if it's hair, then what are the participants who claim to be seeing it?
Yeah, I think we talked about that a little bit.
I doubt it's hair. So one of the problems I had with this whole entire case was that I couldn't find anything from the other participants. The only reports I found were from Barry and Gaynor. That was it. I didn't find anything else from all of these other participants. I mean, I think it says something between 25 and 30 or over 25 participants at one time. Not every time they went, but at one time they had over 25 participants, which I don't see in any of the pictures. I only, at the most, I see like 9 or like 10.
It would be good if they listed who else was there.
Yes.
Understanding that the reports would come from the 3 main investigators of the lab that was involved, Moss, Gaynor, and Taff. But usually you would list the other participants in anything you talk about.
Right.
I mean, that is kind of strange.
I would like to know, like, I would hope that they would have recorded the interviews with each individual person alone to see what each would have disclosed. I would like to know how they asked, how it was responded, like under what conditions did they ask, when did they ask. I don't know if they made a verbatim recording or if they did an audio recording, but to me that would be interesting. Like that's something like I could look into and listen to. But that was when they were saying that there were multiple witnesses. That really that helps me. Like I think that that's some credibility to having multiple witnesses of the same thing. But then again, like I want to see like how they were asked. Did they ask everybody at the same time in the same room? What did you see?
Yeah. Ken, you might want to ask Lloyd about it. He knows Barry pretty well.
Okay.
He might be able to get you at least an in there to talk to him.
That'd be interesting. I mean, just to clarify, because I mean, some of these descriptions don't.
It's a book. It's edited down for a book.
I understand. Yeah. I understand, and it's just. I mean, this looks like it's supposed to be reprinted exactly from the journal that they put it in. But I mean, at one point they do describe that the lights were, let's see, with over 30 individuals, some of whom were volunteers from our UCLA parapsychology laboratory. The lights returned and were even more brilliant than before, as well as demonstrating a direct responsiveness to our verbal suggestions. The three-dimensional lights seemingly reacted and responded to our jokes and various provoking remarks, especially those of Doris. So, I mean, there's a lots of problems with this case. One is that if you read up on the case, and I suggest you do, because it's interesting. It is interesting. But they have this very tiny house, and it really is a tiny house. But they have over 30 individuals here.
Yep.
Not all of them are from the parapsychology unit. And it actually just says some of whom were volunteers. So I have no idea who the other people were. But they have 30 people crammed into this little house. That's a lot of people. I mean, that's investigating claims 101. Don't have 30 people. You don't. But this says that they were very intense. So it makes me wonder, like, all right, how intense were these lights? Maybe they should be creating some kind of more better band. But this is actually better because when we're looking back at those photos, if these solid lights, these little green lights that were going all over the place, were zipping around, they would actually not create the effect that you saw in those pictures, because there would be no fading at the ends. The light would continue until it went out of frame.
Even if they were moving away from the camera at the time?
Yeah, because they're still producing light. They're still producing light.
But wouldn't the intensity drop? What if they were real dim and they moved away? If they got real close and then moved away, wouldn't you see a fading?
No, because it's still a source of light. Even if you have if you say you have a lighter, just a regular lighter, or even a small, maybe light bulb, like a low intensity, like the old Christmas lights, the little ones, not LEDs, but the little tiny lights. Even if you're taking a picture, so obviously this is a camera, you're looking at me. Even if I had the lights completely out, fired the flash, if I just held that and went around, everywhere I put that, there would be a line tracing exactly where I'm going because it's a light source.
Okay.
The only way you would get a fading out is if you turn that light out.
Okay.
And as the filament died, the filament lost energy.
Yeah.
And I'm no drinking because I'm using it in the right way.
Right.
As the energy loss increased, then you would have that fading out as it moved away.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely would have that. But yeah, I mean that I'm glad we went over that because that's an excellent point.
Yep. Okay.
Cool. All right. Let me see if there's any other questions. That was a good question. I like that. That was good. Let's see. Oh, Bob wants to argue more. Oh, wait, no.
Energy. Bob's trying to get us to 3 hours.
Energy.
Shut up, Bob. Order is fantastic. Same Donna. Let me see. Question. I'm going down. I don't think so. Let's see. In this pic, they have cropped out the jumper's bed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you definitely have to look at the photos, look them up, because you can see. I think in the full frame images, you'll see both beds in both of them, but you see like every one of them starts from the bed, and she ends up over here, like every single one of them. Let me see. No cues. I don't see. Oh, wait. Bob says, could a photograph ever be used as definitive proof of a ghost, considering how easily, especially today, they can be manipulated? No.
No,
you'd
have to have something else.
Here, can I share my screen for just a second for him?
Sure. Absolutely. Oh, there you go.
Here's the bed.
Oh, yeah.
You can kind of see.
Whee! At least the legs aren't totally tucked there, but it looks like she's coming down for a landing.
She's coming down, yeah. She already hit her peak, and yeah, she's coming down.
I would expect more of a fuck look as you're being propelled into the wall.
Yeah. Or any other direction.
That's somebody, isn't it? Who is that? I don't know who that is. That's is new.
Chip Coffee.
That's total 70s. I don't know who that is.
It's Pimp Daddy.
Also, Psychic. Let's see. Going off of Bob's question there, that question he put up with the authentication, and that's something I really looked into because I was curious. Even after I found that the article didn't authenticate it, I was like, what does authenticate a photo? What does that mean? And basically what it means is that if you have a photograph of a place or a person or a thing, and someone has experience with that person, place, or thing, they can say, yes, that is a photograph of that. Like my office here, I know what it looks like. If someone was in court and they said, hey, is this a photo of your office? I would look at it and say, that looks like my office. Yes, this is my office. That's authenticating a photo. That's as far as you can go with authenticating. You know, I mean, like Kodak, Polaroid, those companies could look at a finished photo or a negative and say something's not tampered with. But does that authenticate a ghost photo? No, it doesn't. Because you can still have practical effects that you do afterwards. All that company is doing is saying this negative or this photo was not manipulated.
Now, what if Kenny Biddle goes out with a world-renowned psychic?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And Kenny Biddle loads the film in his camera.
This sounds like I'm going to have to drink a lot real soon.
And Kenny Biddle loads his camera. It's his camera. It's his equipment. The psychic says, I don't know, one of your relatives who's passed away. Let's say it's Bob, your great-great-grandfather, whatever.
Bob's my grandfather now.
Whatever.
Okay.
I'm just trying to not to make it too personal.
Okay.
But he says, okay, I see your grandfather there right now. And let's say you take a picture.
Okay.
And your grandfather appears in that your great-great-great-grandfather Bob appears in that picture.
Okay.
Is that to you? Would that considered any type of proof? It's your equipment, knowing how good you are, and you're skeptical. You're not fucking with your camera. You didn't let the psychics screw with it. What if that picture was identical to your relative? Would that be proof?
That would be amazing to me. I couldn't say it was proof right away because, I mean, you guys know me. As soon as I see it, I'd be like, wow, that's fucking awesome.
We're going to have to accuse Kenny of faking ghost photos.
Let me see. Let me see if there was something done, you know? But
you controlled the camera. You took the picture. You didn't, nobody touched it. But
yeah, I would have to say, like, this is amazing. This is really cool.
Okay.
I want to look into this a little bit more.
Yeah.
But wow. I would be wowed.
Okay. So the potential is there'd be something there that would be impressive.
Yeah. And I think I hope that's something that I put across, even though how much of a dick I can be. I mean, that's still it's still the possibility is always there.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay.
What you're getting at, I think, is yes, if all the I's were dotted, the T's were crossed, and I didn't let them manipulate the camera or touch the camera or have anything to do with the scenery, and it still came up, I would be impressed. I would still want to look into it, but I'd be impressed. I'd be like, wow, I don't know what happened here. Okay. And I'd have to look into it a little bit more. But that would be amazing.
Sure. So never say never.
I'm not sure if I missed some of the conversation, but Donna's given you some nice compliments there. I do.
And he has impressive equipment.
I haven't. Wow.
Okay, this show's rolling to an end.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Kenny's guy.
I haven't gotten there yet. Damn it. Let's see. Bob says, "Okay, why not 30 people? More eyes on the orbs." I'm kidding. All right, Bob is banned from the show from now. Don't ever fucking promote orbs, Bob.
There's 30 people looking at orbs at certain clubs every night.
I like Melissa's question. I feel that question.
Let's see. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me get.
If you're dead inside and someone takes a pic of you, wouldn't that count as a ghost pic?
Oh, that's funny. That's
I like that. I feel seen with that one.
Yeah,
that's I don't know. That's another show.
Either that or you're a vampire. Who knows?
Or zombie. Yeah. No.
Let's see.
Are zombies dead?
Yes.
No, they're undead.
They're the Walking Dead.
They're undead, which means they're a little bit alive.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
John Kennedy, piggybacking off of Bob's question, what about the new technology of deep fakes, especially with dead people? So, I mean, well, that's pretty much why you can't trust any photos anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
there's got to be something else to it.
Yeah.
There's got to be some other piece of data or some other something that correlates with it. It can't just be a photo.
Right. It's too easy. It's way too easy. You can, I mean, most ghost photos, using scare quotes, most ghost photos are by accident.
Yes.
Yep. They're not meant. They're not deliberate hoaxes. They're not meant to deceive. They are accidents.
Yep.
And that's it. It's someone that doesn't know how to use the camera. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. They simply don't know how to use the camera. They don't know how to interpret the results.
Yep.
But they're excited about it. And they see something they can't explain. They show their friends. They can't explain it because none of them are into photography. And then they usually present it and say, look, we have a ghost photo. And then some jackass like Dave comes along and says, no.
I want to give a shout out. I have to give, I'm so impressed with the people that watch us. We are all just, I hope you don't take this in a bad way. We are just geeks. I knew when I made that question, are zombies dead? That only people like us would fall into a 25-minute debate that if you were face to face could maybe turn into blows over are they dead or alive. And I love that.
Get close enough.
I'm watching it. I'm watching it go. You can't vicar a dead relative. That was great.
No, you can. It's called an exorcism.
Is this the case Conjuring 2 was based on? Yes, Conjuring 2 is based on the Enfield case. Sadly. But totally blown out of proportion. Totally. There was not anywhere near as much involvement by the Warrens as they claim in the movie. Nope. Yep. No, not at all.
That's for sure.
Not at all. All right. So let's see. Going through, I think we're caught up.
I think
so. I don't see any other questions.
All right.
So that's it. We're good.
Cool.
All right, let's go around the room. Dave, final thoughts and anything coming up?
Final thoughts. I learned a lot, and you can tell this is exactly why I go to Kenny with video and photo questions. I don't know a lot about it. That obviously shows tonight. And there's nothing wrong with that. The fact, though, that I can admit I don't know about it and go to somebody who knows something about it to provide analysis that's meaningful, that's what it's all about. So I learned a lot tonight. It was fun. I just came with photos that I thought were interesting to me. I got some great insight in them, and it was a lot of fun. So I appreciate that. It was a good show. It was fun. So I learned a lot tonight, actually. So anyway, do I have anything coming up? No, not really. Well, let's just say there might be some potential new fun Halloween music for Three Tortured Souls coming along at some point. So we'll see. Having some fun there. Besides that, Jen and I keep talking about getting our podcast side chat going again. Now that we're both feeling better and work seems to have settled down a little bit, we might have some time to do a couple shows there. So I'll let you know next week. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. So besides that, I will see you all next Saturday night, I think.
Awesome. Tim, final thought.
I got to say, yeah, exactly. I'm right with Dave. Like, this is not something I know a lot about, and this is exactly why I'll send it to Kenny and put it in the chat for everybody to look at. Even though, I still like, even with pictures and videos, I still like sharing it with both of you guys, because Dave will still come up with something that's very interesting and poignant to what we're looking at as well. But you heard the best I had, and I don't know a whole lot about I don't know a whole lot about pictures. I don't know how to I guess critically examine and take them apart like you. So I learned a lot. It was really good. I enjoyed it a lot and learned. And so that's always a good show for me. So if I get to learn something, it's good. It's worth it. Cool. For me, I do a podcast every Saturday night with two of my friends. It's coming up this Saturday, Three Tortured Souls. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Awesome. So yeah, to sum it up, I'm glad we do shows like this. I'm glad that we rotate and like we take turns, because we have a chance to not only bring up a topic that maybe none of us have researched, but it also gives us a chance to bring up a topic that we are really good at, and bring it out and say, all right, because these are kind of skills that I think everyone should have some kind of basic idea of, because photographs, video, audio, it's definitely part of the whole community experience. So you should have some kind of decent knowledge. And even though like I spent a lot of time doing it, I still missed things. So it's nice to go around the table and say, hey, this is one picture. What do you see? Because you guys will see something that I don't, and we can or bring something up like, why is this like this? And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, we didn't look at that detail. Let's look at this detail now. That's great. But looking at the little things, and I think going through some of these photos, especially because they're famous photos and they're out there and we see them all the time, and giving you guys a kind of closer look at them. Let's really analyze them, not just, let's page through a book and say, oh, wow, great ghost photo. Let's really look at them and pick them apart. I think it gives the audience a better idea, a better understanding of what to look for next time. So great questions. Loved it. I do have some announcements because I always do.
Did you see Bob's comment by chance? That's pretty funny.
Go to 11.
Fucking Bob. Shut up, Bob.
Well, if I can send Bob a sticker, he gets the sticker for the funniest shit.
So I'll get through these pretty quick. September, I started my my video series for Skeptical Inquirer called Ghosts in the Machine, which is back here this time. So I started that. The first one is up. It's actually about this doll. So if you're interested, check it out. It's about a haunted doll that dances. It's a battery operated doll, but it dances without batteries. And I go through the whole investigation of how I figured out how it was done. So hopefully you like that. September 25th, which is next weekend, I'll be in Woodbridge, New Jersey for the Para-Unity Conference. That should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. October 3rd is Skeptoids, which is a podcast, Skeptoid. It's their 15th birthday celebration, and they're live streaming from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm part of that. I don't know where I'm going to be or what time I'm going to be on, but I'm going to be on talking about research and how important research is and good research, especially in these times of, division with COVID and all that stuff. So we'll see how that goes. October 9th is the Selma Mansion Psychic Fair. I'll be there. My wife, Donna, who produces my show on Friday nights, she'll be there. She'll be set up with Lucky Tiki Creations. So come out, buy her stuff. So that makes her happy and makes me happy. And then, every Friday night I do the Skeptical Help Bar, which is my live stream 2-hour podcast, which sometimes turns into 3 hours. I have that.
It's from
That's
Donna.
awesome. How did you get that? Oh my God, that's a sticker. Did she send you one? Son of a bitch.
No, we bought it. We bought it when we were with you guys in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. I thought she gave you one.
It's one of my
Just to
that's
get home.
awesome. We
That's
also have a wine bottle that's a Ouija board that lights up. It's very cool.
That's cool.
Go check out her stuff. It's awesome.
Awesome. So she'll be there October 9th set up. She'll also be at the September 25th Para-Unity next week. She'll be set up. So you can find that kind of stuff there. And I think, is that it? I think that's it. I think there was one more thing, but next week, next Friday, my Skeptical Help Bar, I will have Charles Moss on. He was the reporter that was on when I did the show about Kevin Manis and his Dybbuk box. When he was on, he's the reporter that broke the story. Mm-hmm. But we're going to be talking about Brawley Pond, which is in Virginia. It's allegedly a haunted place. There was a ghost hunting team that had a very B-movie, horror movie experience there. It's really bad. But there's other stories. There is a murder that happened there in 2003. It's very tragic. That really did happen. I was able to verify it, but he's going to come on and talk about that because he did an article, but he's got a 4-part podcast that's coming out about it. So we're going to talk about that story. So there you go. That's everything. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Another Saturday night. It's awesome. Who's next? Who's next up?
Tim.
Awesome.
Mwah.
Yeah,
right.
bitch.
Looking forward to it.
You got it.
No
All right.
pressure.
So everyone
I'll have
else.
the topic to you next Friday.
Sure you will.
Oh, perfect.
Sure you
You
will.
have exactly 6 hours to prep for it on Saturday. All right.
Pocket change. All right, guys. Have a great time. Never stop learning. Be safe.
Yep.
See you later.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.